Hi, my name's Karen King. I'm a member of the Senior Center, and I welcome you all here today. And it is my great pleasure to introduce to you our new director at the Island Volunteer Caregivers. And her name is Laura Van Dyke. And so we were so happy to have you aboard, and IVC has a special place in our hearts here at the Bainbridge Island Senior Community Center. So you took over during a most trying time in actually most of our lifetimes. And what brought you to Bainbridge and IVC?
Oh, great question. I've lived on Bainbridge for 32 years, so I've been here a while. Moved here right after graduate school. My husband got a job at DLI Engineering when it used to be on the island. It's where the children's thrift store was. So that was their office for many years. They're now in Pulsbo, so still kind of nearby. So came here in '88, and just young family, raised my children here. They're all grown and off at college or elderly. I say elderly because we were just joking that my oldest son is 32, and I'm soon to be a grandmother in December. So I'm very excited about that. But so I've lived here a long time. And then my route to IVC is very circuitous. I am actually trained as a civil engineer. I worked as an engineering consultant for about 25 years. And then I read a book called Mountains Beyond Mountains by Tracy Kidder. And it told the story of Paul Farmer and his work in Haiti. And I was just so taken by the work that I just decided that's what I wanted to learn more and do more in that field. And so I stopped working as an engineer and I started to volunteer basically full-time for Partners in Health. That was a little challenging because they're based in Boston and they do work overseas. So that wasn't like very convenient type thing to do. But I learned a lot, and it was a really fantastic experience. And I did that for about 7 years. And then I met IVC in the process. I always had it in my mind that IVC was kind of the homegrown version of Partners in Health, because Partners in Health is known for their community health worker program, and so they work with the government to have a public healthcare system in low-income countries around the world. And so I had spent time with them in Haiti and got to learn about that. And when I met, and Rita and I are friends, we've known each other for a while. But I learned about IVC and became a volunteer because I saw that it was really kind of that community health worker model where it's really neighbor helping neighbor, even though in Haiti and other places, Partners in Health does actual medical care. That's how they actually distribute their care that way. But this I saw as like the social service side of what Partners in Health does too, which a lot of times just having that personal connection can be as important as medicine. So that's kind of how I saw it, and I enjoyed it so much that I became a volunteer and was doing that for years. And then just in June of this year, I shifted a little bit. I was doing a lot of work in Boston and kind of with the national program of volunteers through Partners in Health. And it just had gotten where I felt like it was in a good place, and I was really feeling called home to work on some issues here. And I felt like I needed to be more local. I didn't know what that was going to be, but I just wanted to give myself the opportunity to have the space to do something more local. And honestly, it was not 2 weeks later that I got an email from Stella Lay, who's a board member of IVC. And she said, "Are you going to apply for Rita's position? Are you thinking of applying for Rita's position?" And I was like, "No." What? And it just wasn't on my radar at all. And it was a very busy time. We were taking our youngest daughter. We actually drove her to Denver. She had just graduated college, just started a nursing job there. So I was very much thinking about that. And I was actually in the mountains of Montana when I got the email, and it was just this really funny moment. And so on the drive home, I just thought about it. And the more I thought about it, I said, maybe this is why I gave myself space and why I am feeling local. It was just a very funny circumstance. So, and not a week later, I was being interviewed, and then not, maybe another week when I was brought on kind of unofficially to kind of train with Rita, and then another week I started. So just kind of a funny thing.
It's kind of like it was meant to be, I think. It's, those karma things happen, and
it feels a little bit like that.
Yeah.
For us, totally serendipitous. Totally.
Yes, serendipitous. Absolutely. Now I'm going to ask you, what's been your biggest challenge? I mean, you jumped into the fire, obviously. But I know you have so much support. I know that Rita will be there for you and always. And Rita Ellsbury, I don't know if you all know her, but she was the former director, and the board. And I know, but have you had any special challenges that you could think of?
Yeah, a lot of special challenges. I would say it's a big job. It is a very big job. And Rita's been doing it spectacularly well for 8 years. And I think just learning how to replicate that on its own is its own little challenge, for sure, big challenge, let's say. But to also try to do this work without being able to be in person is very difficult.
Yeah.
And I learn a lot by being with people. I can, I feel like one of my gifts or skills is to be able to kind of, is someone getting what I'm saying? Are we connecting? Am I understanding it right? And sometimes I feel like it's almost a feeling you get, and it doesn't translate very well over Zoom. And I mean, a couple things. I mean, I was working for probably 6 weeks before I met Katie Auger in person. And that was nuts to finally say, oh my gosh, you're a real person. I mean, in the same sense, it's going surprisingly well, considering the kind of crazy circumstance that we have. But I'm also recognizing that that is an extra barrier, maybe that I hadn't really thought about how challenging it'll be. And I have board members I haven't met yet. It just hasn't worked out. And thinking about all of our volunteers and all of our care receivers and all of these folks that under normal circumstances would be, we'd be having gatherings here at the office. I would be doing everything I could to actually physically meet everyone in person. So, just shifting from that and trying to get creative in a way to how can I meet people and trying to be patient with myself and, because I'm anxious to know so many things and meet so many people, but just know that we have time and just kind of, I would say that's probably the biggest challenge. And then the next one is really, I have to say, is a real concern of mine, is just heading into the winter. And do we have enough in place right now to kind of help everyone, our volunteers and our care receivers, and everyone feel as connected as we possibly can? And we're going to just do every day that we can. We're going to try to gather as much information as we can. We're going to try to reach out to as many people as we can and ask for advice. If you have a brainstorm idea, please reach out to me. I would love to hear any idea that's out there. We're definitely trying to make sure as many people are as connected as they can be in this time.
Yeah, thank you. I love IDC. When COVID started, it was everybody, asked to wear masks, and I am not a seamstress. And I know that a lot of people on the island started sewing masks, and IBC, I called them and they said, come by, get them. And I look at this beautiful mask.
Yay.
It's not just functional, it is gorgeous.
It is beautiful.
I picked one up for our son and my husband too. Those were the very first masks we have. And and there was hand sanitizer there too. You couldn't find hand sanitizer anywhere. And it was like, I feel like, what a great community, what a great organization, IBC. I mean, I just feel like easily to reach out to you for whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. They really did a fantastic job before I was involved at all, that they had already pivoted and shifted a lot of their programs to, what is the need right now. And we still do. If anyone needs hand sanitizer or gloves or masks, we still have a little plastic container outside our front door that you're all welcome to help yourself. We keep stocking that, and little by little it is going out, but definitely let us know if that's a barrier for you at all, and we can have things delivered if that's something that you need. It's a huge challenge for an organization that is a person-to-person, one-on-one companionship organization to then all of a sudden say, oh, well, you can't be with someone. And it's like, oh no, how do we do this?
Yes.
So we do have the phone buddy program is one that's really popular right now. So that's really just, connecting a volunteer with a care receiver and having pretty ongoing check-ins. That's really popular. Another one that's really popular right now is the Pen Pal program. We have high schoolers and a Girl Scout troop that are writing letters to our care receivers. So if anyone's interested in that, definitely let us know, because they're very excited about this. And these kids are so cute. I can't even tell you. I got to do a meeting with them, and they're really adorable.
I need to talk to that, because I've been fortunate in order to get in touch with a young lady by the name of Gigi Hendrickson. And Gigi, interestingly enough, had gotten her letter, which is beautifully printed, and then she sent back a letter to me saying, I had to have somebody help me read your cursive, because nobody knows how to read cursive. So I just finished typing my second letter off to her. And I'm typing it now. So any of you who are doing any of that kind of thing, probably typing would be the easiest thing.
Yes.
If you can print real well, which I can, but my hand gets like this after a bit. And anyway, she was interesting though, Laura, because she was on here for one of the programs, and there she was. She was Genevieve, I think. I think it's Genevieve is her name. Hendrickson. So I'm looking. I said, and I finally got on. I said, you don't go by Gigi, do you? And I was just talking like we are right now. And she said, yeah. I said, hi there, Pen Pal. So we had the face, the two of us. So it was such fun. Anyway, she's a lovely, interesting sophomore, for crying out loud. Interesting young lady, and I'm enjoying conversing with her.
Yes.
Oh, that makes me so happy. And I actually know Gigi personally from I've been the advisor to the Global Health Club for many years through my Partners in Health volunteering. And there's 25 kids that show up every Monday to talk about justice in the world and how they want to participate. And Derek Kilmer came and we talked about politics, and these kids are fantastic. And Gigi is one of them. So I was really happy to see that she was in this other group that was doing the Pen Pals. So I'm really excited about that. And then we just heard that a Girl Scout group of 8th grade girls are going to start participating in the program too. So it makes me very happy. So, and we do have packets of stationery and stamps and pens and things like that for anyone that would like them too. So that's another thing that we have available if somebody wants to participate in the program.
Yeah, Reed had a question. Thank you so much. It was a fantastic connection, community connection about, you know, what things are you still able to do? And one of the things that popped in my head was I had several friends who were drivers that would drive people to doctor's appointments and maybe go out and get essentials. Is that still happening?
It is. So what we're doing, so instead of taking people grocery shopping like we have in the past, we're getting grocery lists. And so we're actually doing the shopping and then delivering the shopping, and then the person is just reimbursing the shopper, is how that's been working. Or sometimes they can order and prepay, and then we're just picking up and delivering the items. So there's quite a bit of grocery shopping happening. But I'd have to say right now, a lot of medical appointments are still happening, and there was kind of a lull. You know, at first we were going to kind of wait and see what COVID was going to do, and so there were even doctors that were saying, let's put off some appointments. But now we're seeing that there's just so many medically necessary appointments that still need to happen. So that's probably the one thing that we are struggling with the most, is finding enough drivers that are comfortable having another person in their car and physically taking someone to an appointment. And we do have some, but not as many as we used to, obviously. So right now we are doing a call for more volunteers. And so we've tried a few different methods, and we're going to continue to do that and try to get many more volunteers right now that are able and willing to take people to doctor's offices or doctor's visits.
Yeah, that's tricky.
It is tricky. It is tricky. We do have a really strong protocol though, where both, you know, the car needs to be wiped down before they're picked up. Both have to have a mask. The passenger rides in the back passenger side, so you're as far away as possible. And if the weather's good enough, then, you know, having the windows down or cracked, at least to have some good airflow. Mm-hmm. And it's been successful. You know, we haven't had any you know, any transmission or anything like that. So we feel good about our policies.
Great.
Oh, thanks, Jeanette. I just saw that. So you're saying
good.
Yeah, training to help people order groceries. That's a great idea. I don't know that that's come up yet, but that's maybe something that we could put out there and see if that's an interest of any of our care receivers to learn how to do that. It is nice to be able to get your groceries delivered. It's a good service that Safeway has. I'm not 100% sure if Town and Country offers delivery. Do they? Okay. Yeah.
Yay. We live in a great community.
We do. We do. We're lucky.
Yes. And now I'm going to pivot. That's a big word these days, pivot. And talk about the elections coming up. I think many of us will be receiving our ballot either today or tomorrow or next day, whatever. They're being mailed out. And I've heard that IVC has a method to help people that cannot get to a ballot box or secure ballot box by the swim center over there. I'd like you to elaborate on that, Laura.
Sure. Yeah. So IVC is going to offer the service along with the senior center to if someone isn't able to get to a ballot box and they choose not to mail their ballot, if they contact us, we will send a volunteer over to pick up the ballot. It has to be signed and sealed and completed, and then our volunteers will pick it up, and then the person would then sign a line that just gives them permission to drop it in the ballot box, and we'll keep track of the time picked up and the time dropped off. And then we'll also provide information on how to check on your ballot to make sure that you know that it's been counted. And we should all be doing that part to make sure all of our ballots are being counted. So yeah. So we're going to start advertising on Monday to the IVC group, care receivers and volunteers, to let them know about this program. And then I'm not sure, this is all pretty last minute. We got our policy together yesterday. So Reed is now going to participate. And I think there are lots of ways. I mean, if somebody wants to volunteer, Reed and I can talk about like the best way, if it's best to still coordinate through us. We're going to have the clipboards. Our policy is that, that we need to have 2 volunteers. So you need to be COVID friendly with each other. So we're going to have 2 volunteers per vehicle that's picking up ballots. We're going to have a log that we're going to fill out. We're going to ask everyone to have masks. We're going to have the volunteers will have gloves on. That for the pen, they'll have a pen available that's already been sanitized if the person, the voter, doesn't have one. So we're going to just do our very best to make it. It'll have to be outside. So we just want it to be as safe as possible while getting enough information, and then we'll end up keeping the logs after the fact, and just for record keeping. But
Laura, how would I go about getting my name on the list to drop off ballots, or anybody?
Yeah, if you could just call IVC and let us know when when you're ready for a pickup, and then we'll schedule a pickup with you.
No, I meant for me to deliver the ballots.
Oh, you're going to deliver. So you would, then you would also call us and let us know that you want to be a volunteer. And then we'll get you on the list.
And you get in touch with me then? Fantastic.
Yes.
Good. That I will do.
So, yeah. Awesome. So yeah, if you're receiving email from Robin, it's going to have the opportunity to become a volunteer. And she'll keep the list. And if you're on the care receiver side receiving information from Lynn, there'll be information on how to contact us to have your ballot picked up.
Yeah, sounds good. Have you had quite a few volunteers, or is it just at the genesis of this right now?
There's a lot of people interested in making sure everyone's vote counts. Yes.
Wonderful, because
it's very important to a lot of people.
Absolutely. And this is this a technique that is approved through the Secretary of State?
It is. Yeah. So we reached out to the Secretary of State to get advice on how best to do this. Interestingly, a lot of states have very specific rules on how you can do this, and the state of Washington does not. And it's because we have mail-in ballots. And so it's not really been an issue. But I think for the folks that are just not feeling comfortable with the mail system right now, that's just come into play. So some people are feeling comfortable mailing their ballots, but for those that are not, this is another option. So we just wanted to make sure that there was a whole laundry list of ways to make this happen. And we don't care how you vote, we just want you to vote. So.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And one thing that I know, and pretty much everybody I know, the minute they get that ballot in their hot little hands, they're going to want to send it back. So it's going to probably be a pretty quick turnaround, I would imagine.
Yeah.
I guess that's happening all over the country.
It's what I'm hearing. Yeah. I'm hearing that people are more than ever, just voting sooner than later. Yeah,
Right.
they're going ahead and filling it out the day they get it, and getting it, either mailing it right away or a drop box right away. Yeah.
Well, in this day of COVID, that's the wise thing to do. And, you know, and all the election workers, it helps them too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because they can do all the pre-stuff.
Yeah.
So and keeps, you know, keeping everybody safe is the number one thing. So, yeah. Well, I just think this is fantastic.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm really happy. I'm really happy that our board was very supportive, and yeah, we tried to get that option turned around as quickly as we could.
Right. So are we still doing, are flowers still being delivered to folks on the island, or is it waning now because of the weather?
Yeah, that waned. So we did do it this year. I hope many of you were recipients of the beautiful flowers. It was actually winding down right as I came on. So I think it went through the month of August. Yeah. And I think there was fear that they weren't going to be able to do it at all, because just for safety purposes, and it requires so much hands-on and togetherness of people, but they were able to create a system to spread themselves out and get it done. So I believe the tally was about 400 bouquets were sent out over the course of a month or two. So pretty fantastic. And the letters we get back are so amazing. It's, you know, again, this was before my time here, but I got to see some of them where it was like, how did you know that, you know, that's what I needed that day? You know, it was an anniversary of something. It was just a moment of challenge. And they said that, you know, receiving flowers was what just turned them around. And so what a fantastic program. And I'm really excited for it for next year.
Yes. Yes. Let's see. Oh, Carolyn said, I have a lady for whom I shop regularly. She is buying a TNC gift card to use to buy groceries.
Oh, that's great. So someone gave you the gift card, and then you just purchased the items for them. Oh, that's a great idea. I haven't heard too much of that, but I'm happy to hear about that. That might be another easy option for folks, because that can be a little bit tricky. You know, the younger crowd likes Venmo and PayPal, and but that might not be something that's comfortable for others. So having more options is terrific. Thank you for sharing that.
Yes, very much.
Yeah,
I did not think of that. That is wonderful. So
yeah.
So does anybody have any questions? You could open up your mic, and because I have asked every question I could think of.
I have a question.
Okay, Reed.
So I'm wondering, this is, I think, kind of a unusual situation with IVC, where we have the benefit of a separate organization that is doing work that in a lot of other communities is being done either as part of the senior center or isn't being done at all. I'm wondering if you have any ideas about the way that you'd like to see the IVC program grow in the future. If there are things, not maybe specific programs, but just how you see it kind of fitting in going forward for Bainbridge Island.
Oh, that's such a great question. Interestingly, we were supposed to start our strategic plan last month. And we've decided, because of COVID and me, you know, to give me time to ramp up a little bit, we're gonna create a 1-year kind of interim strategic plan where we're gonna focus this year on strengthening our systems and really allowing me the time to understand kind of what we do, why we do it, how we do it, and how do we streamline. So it's really, in my mind, it's identify what do we do really well and what is really important versus what could we streamline that would make it so that we could do more with our current staff and level of effort, and how many folks are we really reaching right now, and how many are out there, and you know, kind of just doing a little bit more of that kind of analysis, I suppose. And I have a lot of ideas. I have a lot of really big ideas, though, and I don't want to scare anyone with all of my fantastical ideas. But I'm kind of a believer of, you know, it doesn't hurt to put big fantastical ideas out into the world and just kind of see what sticks. Yeah, but I don't, yeah, I don't want to make it sound like, oh, IVC board has approved any of these things, because they have not. Nor have I maybe even shared it. But things like, you know, I think there's just some interesting ways of partnering. I'm understanding from COVID, there's you know, our relationship with you has always been strong. The senior center and IVC have always had a strong connection, but we might have connected maybe a little bit more with Helpline and now Barn, and I would say even Housing Resource Bainbridge, maybe a little bit more than we have in the past. And so that's really exciting to me. I love partnerships. I always think that you can just do a little bit more, a little bit better when you're connected with other folks. So strengthening those kinds of relationships, I think, would be something that I would be really interested in. Big ideas. Okay, one big idea I have that, who knows, maybe this could all happen. But so I really think where the hotel is going should really be a shared space for the big four, the Helpline, Senior Center, IVC, and Housing Resource Bainbridge. I think we should have housing on top of it. And I think we should land swap with them with where the Senior Center is now. That's one idea.
That's a good idea. So relative to that, we did a strategic plan in 2019, and we talked about the idea of co-locating agencies that are working together. And certainly IVC and Bainbridge would be, and Bainbridge Senior Community Center would be two of those. And there is property here that is adjacent to the Senior Center that is sort of beside the playground and in that area.
Okay.
And the current mayor, Leslie Schneider, has shown some interest in senior affordable housing being located there. And I do think that the idea of sort of a Marge Williams Center for Human Services is a great idea. And we would love to, one of the things that we thought we should do, and maybe when we come out of maybe in a year or less, we could invite the city council to have a study session about what the situation is with seniors on Bainbridge with a number of inputs: HRB, Helpline, you, us. And I see that Annika is on the call here, and I believe we're going to be meeting on Monday. Annika is a new arrival at Bainbridge Island Museum of Art, and they are working on senior or aging related programming there. So I think we need to make sure we keep Annika in the list.
Yes. Yes, definitely. And yeah, so, you know, thinking about like where should these facilities be located, where, you know, and it seems to me that in this area, and, you know, we're on Finch Place. I think most of you know where we are, right behind the Marge Williams Center. It's the perfect location, you know, so anything in this general vicinity, I think, is walkable. It's close to a lot of the housing that's already here. A lot of seniors, I think, would like to live in Winslow because it does allow you the ability to, you know, continue to be, you know, freely accessible to the grocery store and the post office and all of those things. So that's something that I think is a really interesting idea. The other, I hesitate to say too many things because this is being recorded, but why not, right? Let's just set the tone early. So I was thinking it would be interesting if we had like a nonprofit Uber system on Bainbridge, and I like the idea of creating something where, you know, it's hard to get around Bainbridge, you know, so even if you're on the ferry, you've got guests coming, you have to run to the ferry. It's a little bit tricky. And we do have our taxi system, and I don't want to like take work from them. But the idea that you could have an app or something that you could call for a ride, and what if that was also accessible to all of our care receivers? So I know that one of the things that we really struggle with at times is connecting a volunteer with a care receiver at the right time, you know, on the right day that they can get to their appointment. And if we did have something that that was kind of local and homegrown, and everyone knew that like the profits from this particular group would go to the nonprofits on the island, or specifically to IVC or senior center. And then we could have vouchers for folks, maybe if they had limited income. And it could just be an interesting way to, it could be branded as something that would be like, oh yeah, everybody takes whatever, because all the profits go to help, you know, increase accessibility to, you know, all the folks on the island. And anyway, just, yeah, so like a nonprofit Uber was an idea that I thought was kind of cool. I think, you know, co-locating our groups, increasing the amount of senior housing in Winslow. And then the other gap that I keep hearing is just the ability to even hire in-home help. In-home caregiving is just really hard to find. And for me, that's like, is there a public-private partnership that we could create? Could we vet people? Could we have a you know, I don't know that it would be under the umbrella of IVC, but maybe it could, or maybe it could be, I don't know. I don't want to go that far with it, but just the idea of.
Yes, we had a group here called Island Neighbors that was trying to start to look at ways that we could sort of vet and share those things.
Yeah.
And it proved to be a difficult nonprofit challenge.
Right.
That organization sort of exists as currently in BIRD, the Bainbridge Island Resource Directory, which is currently just looking at nonprofits and government agencies, but could possibly include some vetting. I know Rita and I were looking at that as a possibility. And then the idea of actually maybe it being a business, as you said, a public-private partnership. It's definitely a thing that makes a lot of sense, because what might not be affordable for one person, when you split the costs, might be affordable. And it might allow people to stay in their homes, which is, of course, something that HRB is very much focused on.
Yes, and I really think
it's chiming in here with affordable caregiving is a huge issue.
It's a huge issue, and the idea of a sliding scale and an idea of the city participation, and I just feel like there's a lot of opportunity to really think about this. And how do you make it a dignified job and paid well enough that there's so many pieces to it that I know it's complicated, but I like things that are complicated. And so just kind of let's and it could be that this has already been analyzed or whatever, but and I'm just late to the game, but I do feel like there's a need, and I do feel like there's opportunity to get creative. And just kind of with my work with Partners in Health, that they're trying to create public health systems in super low income countries. You have to be so creative to make that work. And so I feel like there are just people out there who just look at things differently. And it might be something where we even take lessons learned in Haiti and apply them possibly here. It's not a one-way street. It's yay, Jeanette. Okay, let's get going on this.
Jeanette said, let's not overanalyze. Let's do it. Yeah.
Let's I think these kinds of ideas, it's like, where are the gaps and what can we do? And maybe just in this weirdness of COVID, perhaps, a really new idea might pop up, and who knows?
Yeah, who knows?
But I'm on board. I love new ideas and big ideas, so send them my way.
Yeah, I think your global perspective is really going to just, wow. You're just kind of, your ideas are just kind of exploding in my head right now, thinking, wow, this is awesome.
And
Yeah.
I'll just caveat, like, the board has not approved any of these ideas.
Yeah, it's not happening yet, but
Phone calls later saying, I'm sorry, you said what?
yeah. But you know, that's what being a director is. I mean, I look at Reed, I look at how he helped transform the senior center. I mean, it's just our membership has exploded. I mean, our programs have exploded. And it's because of wonderful thinking outside of the box people like you too, that it's really just has helped the community. We just don't get stuck. We move on.
Yeah.
And see what's possible. And that is so important.
Yeah.
So Jeanette at the Senior Center, former board member, current committee lead of the Resources Committee. You have a resource committee that Rita has been on and Katie has participated in, that I hope that we'll be able to, that's been a good conversation point for thinking of these new ideas and figuring out what we can do next. So right, Jeanette, you're going to give her an email.
Yes, absolutely. No, we want to work very closely with Laura, and Katie is on the committee. And I really respect what you said about caregivers. It needs to be a job that people want to have, that it's not a default job like they can't get a job anywhere else.
Exactly.
And it needs to pay enough. And this is going to be a time for quite a while now where people need jobs, but it needs to be a job where you're trained and respected. And the trust issues are enormous as well. And I would be very happy to work with you, and very happy for you to work with the committee and the senior center, because I think for the issue of caregiving, it's always going to be a public-private partnership. But we only have like one nonprofit caregiving agency in the whole county. And it's very, very costly. For example, Visiting Angels, from what I know from people's personal experiences, are great and highly respected. And you've got to be rich. I mean, just plain rich.
Yeah.
And so that's a huge issue. And we're going to see a lot more of that because, for example, as Reed says, it's cost effective to keep people at home. And people want to stay home. Of course they want to stay home. And affordable, accessible housing is another issue that's going to make that possible. So there's a lot of work to be done, but I'm really glad you're on board and ready to go to work.
Yay, definitely. I look forward to the email, and yes, please add me to that group. I'd be happy to participate.
Yeah, I still have your old email. Is that best, or do you have an IVC email?
I do have an IVC. So I'm Laura at ivcbainbridge.org. So it's the same as Katie's and same as Laura. Just throw the Laura in the front.
Okay, very good.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jeanette.
Good. And if anybody else, wants to add to that conversation, you can always email Reed or me or Laura, because it is a community conversation. I know Jim has probably some thoughts on this as well, because caregiving is so important. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Anybody else have any comments or questions? No? How about you?
Hi.
Oh, look, Bonnie. Hi, Bonnie.
Hi, Karen. Well, I was thinking as Laura was talking about the Uber idea, that she should talk with the gentleman from Pac Westy. And he gave a presentation on this call, maybe last week or the week before. He's totally enthusiastic and he's very community minded, and the business plan of his company lends itself to community. So he I don't know if you know him, but he might be a good resource.
Yeah. I haven't met him yet. The Pac Westy has come up a couple times when we talk about, thank you, Craig. Oh, got it. Yeah, I I'm writing that down. Yes, I will reach out to him. I'll reach out and see if he has a minute to talk about some ideas. Because his name keeps bubbling up. Yeah.
In addition, just to talk about, yeah, he was such a oh my gosh, I mean, we just met him on that one talk, but he was so excited about everything and so positive. He was dynamic personality too. So that's just an observation.
Right. Lots of energy.
Great.
Community minded.
Mhm.
So I think that
Yep.
yeah, he would definitely be a person that I think that you would really like to talk to, Laura. Yeah.
Great. Thank you for sharing that. I appreciate it.
Yes. Thanks, Bonnie. Anybody else? Well, everybody seems to be happy. Do you want to say anything in closing, Laura?
No, just thank you so much. I really appreciate connecting with all of you. It's nice to know there's a whole group out here, working on the same things and are interested in the same things. So please reach out if you have any ideas, or clearly I'm willing to throw out all sorts of crazy stuff. So nothing will be looked down upon. So if you have an idea or a thought or a need or a gap or anything like that, please let me know. I feel like that's how really good ideas get going, is you just kind of put it out there and then let it just kind of do its thing. And then some really interesting things can happen.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Collaboration. Yeah. Everybody collaborate.
Collaborate. Absolutely.
Well, thank you, Laura Van Dyke. It was a wonderful presentation, and I just feel like IVC is continuing to be in wonderful, wonderful hands. So
thank you. I appreciate that. That means a lot.